Right, so looking at types of experimental design. Now, it's really, really important that you don't get experimental design confused with experiment type / method. Okay, so experimental design. So an experiment is when we manipulate an IV. So there are usually two values of the IV, so noise or no noise, or rhymes or cinnamon. So these are two conditions in the experiment. The one that we are manipulating and changing is often known as the experimental condition, and the other one is the control. And there are different ways in which we can set up our participants in these conditions, and this is known as our experimental design. So first, there are three of them. First one is independent measures, repeated measures and matched pairs. And we're going to be looking at independent measures first. So first off, you recruit a group of participants and you divide them into two. Okay. Group 1 does the experimental task and group 2 does the other IV condition. You measure the DV for each group. Little man measuring his DV, and then you compare those results. So this has totally different people in each group, both doing totally separate tasks. So let's look at the evaluation for independent measures. The biggest disadvantage of independent measures is that in each group you have a totally different set of people. Therefore, the individual differences, so the differences about them, okay, could actually be what can affect your DV, and we call this participant variables. So, for example, okay, you may be measuring reaction time. It could just happen to be that in group 1 you have people who are much better at catching things than people in group 2. So it was the individual difference that causes a change in the DV, and not what you have done. So, for example, giving them some alcohol. Okay. To deal with this problem, researchers try and use what we call random allocation. So this is when we attempt to evenly distribute the participants between the groups. So you might use like pulling names out of a hat. Okay. Another disadvantage is it's less economical. This is because you need to use twice as many participants. However, an advantage is it gets around something called order effects. So we'll learn about order effects when we look at repeated measures, and it actually means that people don't end up guessing the purpose of your experiment. So let's have a look at repeated measures. So in here you recruit a group of participants as you did with independent measures, but this time the participants all do condition 1 and all do condition 2. That's why we call it repeated measures. Then you compare the results. So this gets over the problem we had with independent measures of participant variables because they're both doing both conditions. However, problem with it is order effects. So because people have done two tasks, they might be tired or bored or just get better due to the fact that they've already done it once. We call these order effects. The other disadvantage is something called demand characteristics. Because they have been in both conditions, they're more likely to guess the purpose of the experiment. We often call this the screw you or please you effect. So then they alter their behaviour either to mess up your results or to try and do what they think you want them to do. So one of the ways that we can get round demand characteristics and order effects is doing something called counterbalancing. Okay, this is when what we will do is you will do half your participants do condition A first and half your participants do condition B first, and then they swap over. This try and eliminates any impact that the practice effect, the boredom effect and demand characteristics might have on your results. So lastly, matched pairs. So again, matched pairs, you recruit a group of participants, but this time you try and match them as equally as you possibly can. Best matched group will be sets of identical twins. Okay, you then treat it like independent measures. One half of the matched group does condition 1 and the other half does condition 2. Then you compare them against each other. So this rules out a lot of the things that are problems with repeated measures and independent measures. There are no order effects or demand characteristics. But having said that, you might find it difficult. People might not want to stay in the study if it's a longitudinal study. And also, it's very difficult to get a truly matched design.